Hey, welcome. Here we are. Hola. No, I'm not in any Spanish-speaking country. I'm in New Zealand. I'm at home. Just got back from our retreat last night down in the Abel Tasman Park. It was a very, very magical event. We had so many blessings. It was insane. Insane. The weather was perfect for kayaking and walking and just being alive. The weather was perfect. So warm and sunny. And yeah, the nature gods hooked us up with all the animals, the baby seals and the dolphins and bird life and fish running and stingrays and etc. etc. Awesome time out in the park. Anyway, here we are. It is Chat with Matt, and it is today. I'm just trying to find the dates. The 13th of April, 2022. Here we are, 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, New Zealand time. Time for doing Chat with Matt. Here we are. Talk about whatever's going on for you and how we can help, and state of the nation, etc., etc. We can go anywhere. Very happy for questions to come. Hey, Sister Jill, from either you guys watching and or written in ahead of time, which I do have a question from Jill, which is kind of cool because she's here. So I haven't actually properly read it yet, but because I've just sort of come in. It was only posted 8 minutes ago, and I was out feeding the chooks, etc., etc. So I will go there. What else of general nature? It's Easter coming up. Yeah, the pictures from the trip were pretty amazing. It was an amazing trip, and the pictures are nice to look back on and remember what went down and how much fun it was. Some of the videos that we've got, obviously, that are not appropriate necessarily for posting, the laughing and the carrying on that was... It was such a fun trip. So many people lightened up so much. From when they arrived to when they left 5 days later. Amazing transformation and shifts, and yeah, it's fun to be part of that. It's quite satisfying to be part of that. So, anywho's, full moon's coming up because it's Easter. Easter is a full moon, and the full moon actually does fall right on Easter this time because it's always weekended. Easter, of course. But yeah, it's the first full moon after the equinox. That's when full moon always is. Closest to that weekend is chosen. And this Easter, I think the full moon is happening. I can't remember exactly when, but I think it's actually on the Sunday morning, my time, which will be Saturday night for most of the world. So that's exciting. That's going to be powerful. Easter Sunday, yeah. Full moon at 6:55 a.m. my time. How far away is that from where we are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So we're still 5 days away. But yes, something to bear in mind. And Easter in general is a transformative time. It's a time of new beginnings. It always was a fertility festival in the Northern Hemisphere. And so it carries a lot of that energy of new beginnings and, planting things with intent for things to unfold. Hey, Sister Kay. So yeah, that's it's a good time to get your intent straight with what you are seeding for Easter. Whether or not you're into the whole crucifixion story or not doesn't really matter. Easter's been around for a lot longer than that. So yeah. Awesome. Righto, let's jump back to, I'm just trying to work my computer and I'm sort of all over the show, to what Jill wrote in. Em wrote in as well, but it was basically just an experience she'd had with seals in the past. Jill has written in something that's a little bit more juicy for us to discuss. So, this is Jill. Seem to be having a lot of issues with not being believed or even trusted over and over again at the moment. Has the whole world become so suspicious of each other that we doubt even people we've known for ages and ages? People in authority are lying to us blatantly, I feel, and that is setting the stage for many people to doubt of everything they see or read. Now they even question when told something face to face. It's exhausting, frustrating, and becoming annoying. Am I alone in this experience? No, you're definitely not alone in that experience. And I do believe it's true. that people are becoming much more hesitant to believe things, even from what you might think should be, quote unquote, should be a trusted source. But trust has been broken on trusted source, right? That concept is losing its validity. And I think it's a good thing. To be completely honest, Jill, I don't want anyone to trust me. I really don't. I don't care if someone who's close to me doesn't trust what I tell them. For me, honestly, well, it might hurt. It might hurt. In the grander scheme of things, I think it's empowering. I think it's empowering for other people to start questioning everything they hear. And that is going to lead them to start trusting themselves. So basically, we're in the process of it breaking down. The trust cycle has to break down because it's been given too freely in the past. People have trusted authority. They've trusted their parents, rightly or wrongly. They've trusted their parents. They've trusted their pastor, their priest. They've trusted their school teacher. They've trusted the policeman. They've trusted their doctor. These relationships have shown to not necessarily have their higher interest at heart, right? Even your parents who want to, from a level, do the right thing for you are operating from fear-based indoctrination. Just because they believe something strongly doesn't mean it's true for you. Now, you might think that others should trust you because you've done a lot of things and you've got a relationship together and stuff. But even you, like, I'll talk about myself. I don't know that anything that I'm feeling is for the highest and good of someone else, right? I hold intent that I'm going to bring through what is for their highest and best good, but I can never be sure. And therefore, I would never think to insist that someone should trust me, right? I want to always give people the opportunity for questioning whatever I'm saying, because that's empowering for them. And it's also empowering for me in the long run. I think we're in a stage on this planet where we are having to reevaluate this thing called information, and whether information is true or false, this polarity, this dogma of right information and wrong information. We have to understand that everything is relative and everything is based on perspective. So whenever I share something, I like to, I don't always, but it's my intent and it's a higher understanding that I should always frame it as this is what I believe, and not this is the truth, and certainly not this is your truth. Like, you should believe this. Like, I don't know if someone should believe what I'm telling them. What I would like them to do is take whatever I'm telling them and question it and meditate on it and inquire into it and through it to help them come to a belief that really serves them, which might be a mashup. It might be part of what I told them. What I tell them, I intend for it to stimulate the process of their evolution, right? I'm a facilitator of transformation. I help people grow. I don't indoctrinate people into what to believe, right? And so I think we all need to let up on this idea that other people should trust me, and not get annoyed, not get frustrated, and not become exhausted by thinking that we need to convince them. I don't try and convince anyone of anything. Not my wife, not my kids, not my clients. I just don't. So I don't get exhausted trying. I share sometimes quite passionately with what I believe, but I always have in my mind that this is my truth, not them. Yeah, so Jill just wrote, I'm not trusting myself now. I question my own intuition so much. I am losing my confidence and beliefs. And I believe that is a normal part of your evolution, because I've gone through the same thing. And so this whole understanding of information and believing and thinking that we should understand, I think is unraveling. And I think part of that is to get out of this idea that intuition should tell us what's right and wrong. Because why would it? Intuition for me guides me into taking actions without giving me good evidence as to why, not giving me the reasons why I should do this. I don't have to have the information as much as I used to want it. And so now I'm just going with what feels appropriate in the moment, despite the fact that I'm not sure. And and I don't have the same level of quote unquote trust in what I believe. I'm recognizing that many of my beliefs are manipulated or influenced from fear-based experiences that I've had in the past. So therefore, I don't trust them on the same level. I don't trust my beliefs on the same level. What I do trust is that I'm in a process of evolution that is beneficial to me, and much of the questioning that's going on is appropriate. And what's beneficial for me ultimately is not to get too caught up in trying to be sure, in trying to understand, in trying to quote unquote know what's best before I do it. I'm just willing to experiment. I'm willing to allow my intuition to push me into situations where I'm not sure. And so this whole paradigm, or this whole relationship with truth, right, true information, is disintegrating, and I'm not needing to rely on it so much. It's not easy. I still want to understand. I still want to be sure, but I'm learning slowly, like getting dragged through a hedge backwards. I'm learning slowly that it's not coming. And I'm also recognizing that what I had in the past was reasonably deluded. Hey, Sister Michelle, reasonably deluded, thinking that I did understand, right? Thinking that, the information that I was getting in my meditation was quote unquote accurate, right? True. Rather than now I sort of see I'll use the word information again, but the impulses or the scenarios or the impressions that are coming in my meditation are guidance to help me move forward, not necessarily true or false, right? Not necessarily correct. A lot of it's processing as well. A lot of it's what I'm letting go of, purifying. So it's difficult. It's difficult for all of us to find the deep level trust in our own innate nature, as opposed to trusting that we know what to do. Because I don't think any of us know what to do right now, intellectually, right, informationally. We don't. We just don't know how this is going to unfold. We don't know what action steps we should be taking. We don't know how to protect ourselves. We just don't know. So we have to accept that, right? Be aware that this whole information, this whole mental way of doing the world, right? The predominance of the intellect. Awesome. Deb wrote, hi Matt, I like what you say about information in your meditations. I can't actually remember what I've said about information in my meditations, because when I deliver the information in the meditations I'm having. Correct. Okay, yes, good. I'm glad that's helpful. A lot of people get hung up on it. A lot of people believe that as we've been sort of trained to think that as we evolve spiritually, we should evolve psychically as well, and then we should be given information that's true and correct and best for us in very obvious ways, and it hasn't been my experience at all. Jill wrote, does the light language bypass our skepticism and doubting to get data into ourselves? Potentially, but it depends what you call about data. I like to think that the light language is basically just energy vibration that's not necessarily, it could carry data, but what it really does is it inspires and lubricates evolution. So, and I don't believe we evolve through the process of gaining data. I think we are all naturally conduits, and the data is out there in the cloud. I don't think we need the data inside of us, quote unquote. I think the pathway forward is developing a stronger connection and pathway with the cloud of data, right? Consciousness, God, if you want to call it that, right? Because the wisdom is free, Yeah, we all have certain links to certain amounts of wisdom based on experiences we've had and how that has inspired us. But I don't believe we evolve or we ascend through gaining data or being trained or reinstalling the divine blueprint. I'm not big on that sort of analogy for how we grow. I think I much prefer the analogy of expansion. So I believe that as we are evolving, we're basically just loosening our own identity, our own limits or edges, so that we expand out into encompassing more of what's available to us, which includes the cloud of wisdom/data. And it also includes, the inherent connection of heart with all that be, so that we can flow with it. We can be motivated by it, right? We just flow with the impulses that are directing all of nature, how the birds know where to fly for them, and how the animals know where the food and the water is, and etc., etc. It's not data that they're carrying. They're just very much more open conduits of divine guidance, if you like. And I don't see divine guidance as, a long white beard old man sitting up in front of his computer saying, "Oh, right, we've got to send this guy here and send that." It's just this flow of beautiful energy that on a higher level we're all contributing to, right? So yeah, it's an awesomely interesting inquiry. I'm just trying to go back to the original question and see if we dealt with that. So this whole thing of trusted, the only thing that we really quote unquote that it serves us to trust is our own heart and our own innate nature. We can't trust the thoughts that are popping up in our head. We can't trust the information that we're gaining through whatever means. Even, like I can channel information, but should I trust it? To what degree do I trust it? That's the point. It's, do I trust it to be true, quote unquote, for everyone, which of course is stupid because it's not going to be true for everyone. Do I trust it to be true for myself? How long is it going to be true for me? It might be true for me right now, but is it going to be true for me tomorrow? The point is, when information flows through from a channel or in a meditation or whatever, I take it on face value at the time and allow it to motivate me in that moment to expand into a state of being, which might include taking certain actions. It might include sharing some of that inspiration, that quote unquote wisdom, data, if you like. Whatever I feel to do, I trust that, but I don't cling to it as if it's important for any length of time or for any group of people in general. I'm a strong lover of freedom, and trust, the way that it's been applied in our society, is inherently anti-freeing, because people are supposed to trust others to know what's best for them. That's not freedom, right? That's authoritarianism. So I believe we're all going through this very uncomfortable experience of letting go of this level of trust that we've had for all sorts of forms of authority in us, in our lives, whether that be education system, political system, medical system, spiritual systems. I think we're letting go of that, including our own internal experience. Do we trust our own beliefs? Do we trust our own thoughts? Do we trust the feelings that are arising within us? You can trust the feeling is a real feeling, right? But is it actually good guidance? Is it actually the truth? Or is it just fragments of energy left over from a past that are coming up to be released, right? Jill wrote, I wonder if the white-bearded man notion led to the mega lie Christian parents tell their kids every Christmas: Santa Claus. Trust is knocked flying from childhood. Yeah, potentially. It's just another manipulation tactic, right? Santa Claus, and then the inevitable disappointment. I think it's a good experience for kids to have their trust knocked, personally, right? Painful, but real, right? Because it's an education into how society is, right? Not to be trusted. That you've been manipulated, you've been told about the Easter Bunny, you've been told about Santa Claus, you've been told about the Tooth Fairy, right? And you believe it because it's coming from a trusted source, your parents and others in society, etc. The whole of society's down on this manipulation, untruth, big fat lie, right? Under the guise of, oh, it's fun, but it's also it's a whole consumerist ploy as well. And so yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, the idea that Santa Claus knows everything is kind of godlike, right? He knows if you've been naughty or nice, and he's going to reward you or punish you based on your performance. It is rather a fear-based indoctrination, is it not? And of course, none of it is true at all. Like, some of the naughtiest kids get lavished upon, while some of the most spiritually connected and divinely empathic and kind children get bugger all because their parents are quote unquote poor. So yeah, it's very interesting. Our society is well effed up. And so the point is, though, Jill and everyone, is to allow all of this awareness that's growing around this to inspire empowered transformation as we let go of the belief that we should trust anything, including people that we have had relationship with for a long time. We can trust them to a point, always. And I like to say, when you really trust yourself, you know who you can trust in the moment, right? Because you trust your intuition to trust people. But also at this time, I believe the pendulum is really swinging back into strong antitrust, because it has been over far too far in you must trust, you should trust. So we're going to see a bit of a swing back before we sort of settle the pendulum into a more balanced relationship with this concept of trust. So to talk to your initial question, I think this is a normal part of our evolution, that so many people are unwilling to trust anything right now, and for our own good, it's important for us to disconnect from that so that we don't get exhausted, frustrated, or become annoyed, and we can rather see it for what it is, which is a natural part of the progress, and relax out of the stress of needing anyone to trust us, and just do what we feel to do in the moment to get the results that are best going to serve us and them. Is what's most beneficial to do right now. And you don't necessarily need to get people to trust you to achieve that, right? This is the point. But that was the old mechanism, right? We talked people into things, and they gave us our trust, and then we went ahead and did things. That was the old mechanism for doing the world, right? And people who had the gift of the gab and the ability and the charisma to get other people to trust them did very well in the world, sometimes for good outcomes and sometimes not so. But I think that is starting to come to an end, where that level of external sort of charisma and trustability has to fall away, because it's been abused too much. And we're going to come back to a more inherent, intuitive level of trust, where people are given permission to trust whatever really resonates with them, rather than having to trust the narrative. And I think that's a big part of a bigger picture that I've been working towards, with this idea of maintaining the individuality within a aligned community, so that people don't feel that they need to surrender their own peculiar, unique gifts, talents, and belief systems, opinions, points of view, to be included in an aligned community. Because I think a lot of people in the past, to achieve unity within the community, have sacrificed their individuality, and that ends up blowing up. That's unsustainable. So for me, something I've been toying with and considering for quite a while now, probably over 6 months, is holding space for this evolution into more allowing levels of aligned community, where we can really recognize the unity between us, really appreciate the similarities, and also really appreciate the uniqueness and the differences within people who we choose to commune with. So rather than thinking, oh no, they believe something different to me, therefore they're against me, right? I believe we're all being given multiple opportunities to expand out of that mentality that has inspired division for so long on this planet, and has been used by our authoritarian controllers to keep basically us all divided and easily controllable. So part of us regaining personal power and collective power to govern ourselves in a more heart-based way on this planet is to let go of what inspires division, which is these comparisons and this underlying belief that we should all to really get along with someone, you have to believe the same shit, right? You have to believe the same stuff. And I know we've all got experiences in our life where we do get on with someone who has, rather different uniquenesses to them, to us. But many of us have also had a lot of experiences where to be a member of a level of some sort of community, we've had to, or felt that we've really had to hide some of our beliefs because we felt that they were unacceptable to the collective belief system of that particular group, whether that be a political society, a church society, a sporting group, etc., 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 right? And I would like to, and I know we're going to see a lot of that dissolve over the next little while, right? A lot of that little while being probably decades, but we're moving towards deeper level of acceptability in our uniqueness and our diversity, as opposed to all having to think and be the same way in order to feel that we fit in and that we can, this alignment having to be, complete in too many ways, too controlling ways. So I think that's, going to be a big part of this trust recalibration that's occurring on the planet. How am I going for time? 9:30 on the dot. So I think it's great that we should question anything that's told to us face to face by whomever. Not necessarily aggressively. So this is what I've been working with this month, is how do we maintain peace through this conflictual experience where people aren't trusting each other from time to time, right? So I completely lost it. Then I'll read Jules' comment. 90% of phone calls I get now seem to be various scamming attempts, also emails and texts. It's definitely corrosive to trust. Thank you for all of your insight. It helps to see it and let it go. Yeah, probably. I don't know if 90%'s accurate in my life, but certainly I hardly ever answer my phone anyway. No need to. But yeah, there are a lot of emails and stuff that are easy just to hit delete as soon as it comes in. You can usually feel it straight away. I think it's good to be aware that we're really being helped to soften out of this disempowered relationship with trust, so that we can find a more empowered relationship with it, and getting out of this idea that we should trust information, even our own, and just come back to trusting our heart and trusting ourselves to be able to navigate any particular situation, which doesn't always mean getting it right first time. I really encourage you guys not to degrade the trust you have for your own intuition when you move into an action that leads to an uncomfortable outcome, because that uncomfortable outcome is not necessarily a mistake. It is the pathway of transformation. Shit goes wrong. Stuff gets uncomfortable. We get scammed from time to time. That's not a bad thing, right? This is our evolutionary process. It's not that we're supposed to expand out of ever having something bad, quote unquote, happen to us, uncomfortable happen to us, something that we didn't want happen to us. We don't know what is necessary for us to actually achieve the expanded outcome that we desire. And sometimes energies have to be released from our field. And sometimes the most effective way of doing that is having a quote unquote mistake, having an undesirable outcome arise to help trigger the emotional shit that's stuck in our various aspects of our being, to bring it to the surface and to move through a process in an empowered way of releasing that, right? Finding awareness, acceptance, allowance, and softening through the process of letting go. softening into forgiveness, softening into deeper level of self-trust, and maintaining abundance consciousness, even though we might be having a shitty lack type experience. It's difficult. So the important thing for me is not to get too stressed trying to make everything right. It's important not to be too stressed in trying to avoid bad outcomes, because we can't avoid them all. I like to relax into trusting myself, not the information that I'm being given, or not being given from the outside or the inside, but just trusting myself that whatever I choose to do is going to serve me ultimately. And I can't stuff this up. I can't get this wrong. It's impossible. My intention is so powerful that I'm going into the state of being that I truly hold for myself and for community, society, that I trust that whatever unfolds in the external is part of that pathway. And in doing so, it helps me stay relaxed, which helps me stay more intuitive, which helps me move through more effectively and efficiently. That's what I'd like to encourage you guys to do. Primarily, it comes down to the word that I say the most, that Mantara brings to me and I share with you the most, which is relax, which is not necessarily just rest, although rest is an important part of achieving relaxation, but let go of your stress. Let go of the tension. Let go of the worry, the concern, the anxiety that you are reinforcing in yourself by maintaining certain narratives and trying so hard to avoid pain. You know, I think we all have to find a more empowered relationship with pain and discomfort so that we don't fear it so much, so that we can relax and allow ourselves to progress, because that is going to yield the ultimate joy. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Much, much love. Please don't trust anything I've said. Let it inspire you to do your own inquiry. Let it inspire you to have your own experiences. Much, much love, friends. Bye for now. I'll speak to you again next week. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns in the meantime, please feel you can always reach out either via email, mantara@mantara.nz or nz, or put a comment on this Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment there, etc., etc. I'll reach out. No worries, Debbie. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's added to this conversation through your presence or your comments. Yeah, and I am intending to deliver a light language call at the time of the full moon, which will be early in the morning for us here in New Zealand on Easter Sunday, or in the evening/afternoon for Europe and the American time zones, respectively, on the Saturday. So that's coming up this weekend. Much, much love, my friends. Bye for now.